Welcome to the Coach Potato Podcast, a podcast about all things health and wellness. I'm your host, Jessica Yee, and let's get into it. Before we get into the exercise by Tim Ferriss, I just wanted to quickly talk about fear and how that can affect everyone in many different ways, unfortunately. It has really stopped, for example, me from doing things outside of the box or outside of the regular. I've seen fear debilitate someone so far into themselves that they can't even understand what their goals or purpose is in life, and in turn become very complacent about their life. And these people that I've seen do this are probably the smartest, most well-rounded people I've ever seen or know, and it just hurts me so much that sometimes fear, or even we can talk a little bit about how perfectionism in a way and making the fear of making mistakes can really influence a person, causing them to just not do something at all. Not overcoming fear or not even trying to get towards that, at least that point to try, can really cause someone to become complacent, causing them to feel lost in life or feel like they're hitting a plateau. Think about a moment in your life where taking a big risk or a big jump was so scary and just it felt stupid, or you felt insecure about, you were scared about people judging you, and how that has stopped you from putting yourself out there and trying something new. Whether it be putting yourself out there for content creation like this, or changing your careers and pursuing what you actually want to do, and how financial instability can really stop that, or feeling like the whole world is going to judge you for changing your careers. Another thing could be like in the dating world, where you're so scared to approach someone because of the fear of rejection. For example, when I was younger, I wasn't big on wasting time. So if I liked someone, I would go up to them and pretty much tell them right away. Because if I didn't, then I would be wasting time and we'd kind of be going through this back and forth. Or I would just ask them straight up, like, do you like me? Or what do you see in us? Honestly, if I didn't tell Aaron, let's say a week into us kind of talking and really start dating, like, we wouldn't be where we are today probably. Or it would have taken way longer. Because I'm not afraid of rejection in the dating sense at the time. Obviously, this was high school, so it's a little different now. But what I'm trying to say is sometimes that fear of not taking that next step, whether it be signing up for an app or going up to that person in the bar or saying hi to someone in your university classroom, that fear is going to stop you from potentially finding the love of your life. So doing something like this exercise, will help you understand or reflect on, for example, journal prompts, or understand why you're feeling a certain way, or hopefully push you into the direction that you want to go to. Finally, let's go through this blog post by Tim Ferriss. Like I said in my last episode, I didn't really read through the questions that deeply. I kind of just skimmed. There are 7 questions, and the reason I didn't read or write down my prompts beforehand is I kind of want to go through the activity with you. And obviously we're not live, but I'm going to try to be as transparent as honest as possible. Basically kind of saying out loud saying my answers out loud and seeing where that takes us and seeing if any realizations happen during this episode. And yeah, I just thought it'd be kind of fun. So what I'm going to do first is read out the question or prompt on the blog post. There's going to be a lot of rambling, I believe, because I'm kind of winging this and seeing where it goes and talking about my answer a little bit deeper if I can. It's going to be a little bit difficult, but I thought it'd be an interesting episode. So I hope you're still listening or watching, and thank you for your support. Okay, the first one. Define your nightmare. The absolute worst that could happen if you did what you were considering. What doubt, fears, and what ifs pop up as you consider the big changes you can or need to make? Envision them in painstaking detail. Okay. Would it be the end of your life? What would be the permanent impact, if any, on a scale of 1 to 10? Are these things really permanent? How likely do you think it is that they would actually happen? So in my opinion, this first one is pretty broad, because is it like basically talking about my nightmare in general, or more about like my goals, or this next step of why I'm like not attempting something in terms of my career? I guess we could use kind of content creation or YouTube or this podcast as an example for my life. For this first question, something that I've always kind of wanted to do was create YouTube videos for my career, or create a podcast such as this and create content online to obviously like attract more clientele for sure, but also just create trust and build some sort of community. I'm not saying I want to be like a millionaire or like have 1 million subscribers or thousands and thousands and thousands of followers on Instagram, but I'm scared. Like, I am actually very, very insecure about my face and my body, and I thought my hair growing out and me losing weight would help me feel a little more confident and be more willing to put myself out there, put my body on camera. But it really hasn't, and it's been a struggle. So even wanting to start this podcast has been, like I said in the first episode, I've been scared too, because I'm scared of how people would perceive me and my face. And like, my face is never going to be 100% every single week on video for this. But I'm finally like pushing myself a little bit more and putting myself out there. But in terms of YouTube videos or just like reels in general, or putting my body on video, I've been hesitating a lot because I'm scared of how people will perceive me. I'm scared of people or me looking pretty like bigger than I thought I am. I don't know if that's just like a childhood trauma thing where the way you look was always kind of judged, whether you were too small, whether you were too big, whether you gained like 2 pounds or 50 pounds. It didn't really matter. You were never really the right size, if that makes sense. And I don't know if that's just eating me up inside still, and that's why I don't want to put myself out there. I'm also scared of being judged for sure, especially by people I know, not necessarily my close friends, but like acquaintances or people that accidentally find me on YouTube or something, and it's like, why is she doing this? Why it's so weird, like kind of cringe or whatever. But even if it's something I really want to do, that has stopped me because it feels embarrassing even if it's not. Like, I feel like I could have the best body or feel the most comfortable and then have the best quality videos out there with the best scripts and writing and everything, but I would still feel judged by others, and I don't know why that is causing me to not do something. I'm really scared of becoming some sort of content creator or content like digital creator, or be someone online because of judgment. That's the biggest thing. First of all, more my body. What's nice about this podcast is if you're listening, you obviously don't see me. If you're watching it, it's usually just my upper body that's on camera. So that makes me feel a lot better, because I don't mind my upper half, but as I go down, I'm kind of very, very self-conscious about it. And I don't know, like I really hate how insecure I am, and I know that's going to be more of an internal thing to work through, and then kind of going backwards into some childhood trauma about your own body and how you look objectively, and that's just going to be another thing. And I don't know, and like getting over people I don't even care about in terms of their opinion, and getting over them judging me for pursuing some sort of career in this world or in this field, sorry. But I don't want to let that stop me from doing this. And it's just, oh man, this is kind of sad now. Like, I'm sad that I'm letting this stop me from pursuing my dreams. Let me look at what else the question kind of has. So I kind of defined my nightmare, the fears, the what ifs. And it also says, like, would it be the end of your life? What would be the permanent impact? So in terms of the end of my life, I've always hated being judged and been scared of being judged growing up, even up to this day. And no, it wouldn't be the end of my life, but I'm horrified of someone being like making fun of me for it, even if I don't know how to explain it. How do I explain this? I always act all cool and be like, I don't care if people judge me and stuff like that. But really, I do care. And it's like, even if it's not good, but I assume people are judging me and that doesn't help anything or anyone. It wouldn't be the end of my life, that's for sure. But it would make me really, really sad. And I'm super prone to just hit a depressive episode and no, like nothing else would happen, but I would be so sad and no, it wouldn't be the end of my life. So that's kind of, that kind of helps, I guess. So for the permanent impact thing, he's saying on a scale 1 to 10, are these really permanent? And how likely do you think it is that they would actually happen? No, it's not going to be permanent. It's not permanent. Honestly, I think once I get practice in and, get a little bit more numb to the idea of me posting myself online and creating stuff and get even more comfortable in front of the camera and get comfortable talking, I think that the people who are judging me and how I feel about my body will change. I obviously, in terms of my body and insecurities, I would have to go through some more like internal work and self-development or self-reflection there. But in terms of judgment from others that know me, that I'm terrified of, I think right now it's very real to me, but I think once I put my practice in and my reps in and like am accepting that they'll judge me no matter what I do, I think I can get over it. The other thing would be like, if I get better in terms of, let's say, video quality or content quality, then, and I keep trying and I put myself out there and things are doing well and looking up, and then that judgment thing would probably go to the back of my head and like I wouldn't really like worry about it as much, I think. So that's my answer for question 1. Yeah, okay, that's only one question out of the 7. Honestly, question 1 took quite a bit out of me, more than I expected. So for question 2, what steps could you take to repair the damage or get things back on the upswing, even if temporarily? Chances are it's easier than you imagine. How could you get things back under control? I think what I need to do is do a lot more self-development, self-help stuff again. I did take a huge pause on it because things did get busy, and that's not an excuse, but to learn how to reframe things in my mind and to learn how to become confident in my body and my face and all of that stuff and not care about what other people think is really what I need to do to get back on track of my goals. Because if you think about it, all this stuff, like me starting this podcast, me deleting posts on Instagram, me changing my mind a million times has caused me to go backwards, and it's out of fear. So if I just put myself out there and not overthink it, not be scared to fail, maybe I'll actually make the progress I want to make or progress into something better than I ever anticipated. I think what I need to do is kind of reset, recollect, and focus on me again. I feel like I've been focusing on everyone else but me recently, and I don't know if it's because, things are opened up again and I'm not at home as much, or if all the hard work I put into my self-development just kind of vanished, or if I'm just busy thinking about external things again, like money. Not sure what it is. Number 3, what are the outcomes or benefits, both temporary and permanent, of more probable scenarios? Now that you've defined the nightmare, What are the more probable or definite positive outcomes, whether internal, confidence, self-esteem, etc., or external? What would the impact of these more likely outcomes be on a scale 1 to 10? How likely is it that you could produce at least a moderately good outcome? Have less intelligent people done this before and pulled it off? Okay, that last sentence was a little bit weird, but okay, let's go through this. More probable scenarios would be people judging me and talking behind my back. But these people I don't actually care about that much, so why would I let that affect what I want to do with my life? And if they do, honestly, I don't think more than, let's say, 5 people who know me in real life will really talk behind my back. And if they do, then I'm probably not around them that much. I'm hoping. Like, I'm probably not interacting with them. They literally like ran into like my content or somehow found something and then are just judging me for doing it. So that would be the most probable thing. And I feel a little bit better about that. This is super cathartic, by the way. Like I said, this is basically the first time I've read through these questions and I'm doing it with you. But yeah. So that would be the external thing, and the impact of them judging me would literally be a 1 or 2 out of 10. Like, there's no impact in me creating stuff, and why am I letting that get into my head to essentially ruminate and not stop? And then just like let it stop me from everything else and everything, like forcing it to stop like myself from pursuing something bigger than myself. And then internal, I was kind of talking about this with question 2, is more of my self-esteem and confidence and lack thereof. In terms of my self-esteem and confidence, like I said, I would probably have to practice everything again and go from there, because I went through this whole journey of self-development for a very long time, and then now with things being back to normal, it's like I forgot how to take care of myself. And this outcome, right now, I would feel like it's a 4 out of 10 on the scale. But it can go down to basically 1 or 2 on the scale if I just put the work in and actually think about myself over others. Why does everything sound so simple when you go through an exercise like this? Like, I feel a little stupid for like overthinking all this now and really like working through it. I feel lighter. It's a little bit overwhelming, I'm not gonna lie. Like, my chest is tight, pretty anxious about it. Okay, 4. If you're fired from your job today, what would you do to get things under financial control? Imagine the scenario and run through questions 1 to 3 above. If you quit your job to test other options, how could you later get back on the same career track if you absolutely had to? Okay. So I work for myself, and I'm doing kind of the whole content thing more to kind of build up my clientele as well, but also just build my message out into the internet as well. So it's kind of all within work. So in terms of getting fired, let's say all my clients leave me right now. That would be quite devastating. But I'm lucky enough to have my partner kind of help me pick up the pieces if something were to happen in terms of my clients and I don't have any. I think he could help me get things under financial control. Worst case scenario, I ask like some family for some help in terms of money, like to borrow money maybe. That would be like really like worst case scenario. A good thing, I guess, would be that I would have more time for myself to think about myself more, and then hopefully use that to fight through the insecurities that I've been facing. And then it says, how could you later get back to the same career track if you absolutely had to? I would probably be willing to work at big box gym, even if this is like worst case scenario. Like if I had to like become some sort of employee and work at a big box gym and get paid that way instead of being my own, like instead of being self-employed. But yeah, that would be, I guess, my worst case scenario, which doesn't sound as bad. So number 5, we have 3 more questions left. What are you putting off out of fear? Usually what we most fear doing is what we most need to do. Okay, that phone call, that conversation, whatever the action might be, it is fear of unknown outcomes that prevents us from doing what we need to do. Define the worst case, accept it, and do it. I'll repeat something you might consider tattooing on your forehead. What we fear doing most is usually what we most need to do. As I've heard said, a person's success in life can actually be measured by the number of uncomfortable conversations he or she is willing to have. Resolve to do one thing every day that you fear. I got into this habit by attempting to contact celebrities and famous business people for advice. I don't know what I'm putting off creating content out of the fear of being judged. But I should be putting the reps in, learning how to do things, and just putting it out there without too much fear. Because I'm so scared of it flopping, I'm so scared of being judged or commented on. But I think the more I post or the more I put myself out there, the less scared I will become, because I'm in this uncomfortable state. And I do believe that if you put yourself in these uncomfortable states or conversations, that's the way you'll grow as a human instead of just staying complacent and mundane. So that would be my answer for number 5. I really need to put the reps in and just do it, I guess. 6. What is it costing you financially, emotionally, and physically to postpone action? Don't only evaluate the potential downside of action. It is equally important to measure the atrocious cost of inaction. If you don't pursue those things that excite you, where will you be in 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years? How will you feel having allowed circumstance to impose itself upon you and having allowed 10 more years of your finite life to pass doing what you know will not fulfill you? If you telescope out 10 years and know with 100% certainty that this is the path of disappointment and regret, and if we define risk as the likelihood of an irreversible negative outcome, inaction is the greatest risk of all. Damn, that's deep. I feel like I'm doing like a reaction video or something of like me reacting to a TikTok and then taking like, except I'm reacting to a blog and then putting my answers on there. Oh man, that's like, I know this in my head, but that's deep. So what is costing me financially, emotionally, and physically? Okay, financially is that I'm putting a lot of effort into putting content into the world instead of, let's say, having more clients or getting more clients and prioritizing that. I'm in a really comfortable spot in terms of the amount of clients I have, which I'm very grateful for. Obviously, I could probably have or can make room and have a capacity for more in terms of helping financially. But like I said, I am very lucky that Aaron can help me with like my dreams or aspirations in the financial department. But I would like to possibly work more if I can. I think right now I'm just not as efficient in this content stuff, so it's like I'm more obviously stressed out, scared, and overthinking literally every single thing instead of just doing it. Emotionally, it's draining. So then that's going to affect my financial situation. So because I'm so emotionally drained by thinking about, I should do this or I should post that, but I'm not, and then I get upset with myself, it just becomes this whole cycle. Physically, I don't know. Physically, actually. That wouldn't really make sense for this specific example, I would say. But this thing where he talks about 1 year, 5 years, 10 years is a little bit nerve-wracking because 1 year, like, I started my YouTube channel 2021, and it's like, it was kind of weird, like random videos, they're not very good. But like, I didn't continue, I didn't stay consistent, and then now we're at like 2023. Or did I start 2022? Let me double check that. But it's not, anyways, that's not really the point. It's the fact that I wasn't consistent. Same with like my Instagram. Like I could have just stayed consistent and then figured all of that out as well. But then I would actually probably be in a decently financial spot if I did focus on my social media for training at least and clientele instead of overthinking it and deleting posts or deleting videos or whatever it might be. So I would have been a lot further now if I just did this before, essentially, or if I at least started this podcast, the specific one you're listening to right now, earlier. 5 years. So if I don't do this now and I didn't start this podcast now, I'd be so frustrated. If I didn't put myself out there now, I would feel so lost, and these opportunities in the future would probably disappear, and I would just be living a very regular life, which wouldn't be bad, but I know I won't be as happy and as fulfilled as I want to be. 10 years, that just makes me sad. Like, if I were to delay all of this 10 more years, or really not put my all into it, because I'm so scared and scared of regret and failure. But him saying inaction is the greatest risk of all, it just makes the most sense. So I'm not gonna let this happen for 10 years. That's all I'm gonna say for this question. Last question. What are you waiting for? If you cannot answer this without resorting to the previously rejected concept of good timing, the answer is simple. You're afraid, just like the rest of the world. Measure the cost of inaction, realize the unlikelihood and repairability of most missteps, and develop the most important habit of those who excel and enjoy doing so: action. Waiting for... Like I said earlier, I was waiting to lose more weight, or I was waiting to have longer hair so I feel more confident on camera. But all that stuff takes time. I tell my clients weight loss takes time, and I can barely believe it for myself. But now, because I started this podcast, I'm not waiting on this, but in terms of actual creating more content creation for the channel or for Instagram, I want to jump into that right away. And honestly, this exercise has really forced me to want to be more consistent, or want to put myself out there and actually do something with my career online or my life, and to not let people judging me be what stops me. I'm so scared of judgment, and I just realized that doing this exercise. You need to do this. This is a great exercise to do. And especially if you're trying to figure out who you are, or why you're lost, or you're feeling this, whatever career you're in, you feel stuck and feel a lack of purpose and you're just trying to find yourself, do this exercise. It might help you find some realizations of why you're so scared or afraid of trying something new. And it might help you, how it is right now for me. I don't know if you can see it or hear it, but I'm so I almost had a panic attack after the first 2 questions, so I had to take a pause. But because of the realization of certain things, and this isn't that big of I guess scenario, because in a way all this content stuff is just adding to my current business. It's not like I'm quitting a job or making a big leap of faith, but I think what this has shown me is that these fears that I have are very small in the bigger, if you really look into the future, these fears are so temporary and can change on that scale 1 to 10 of it actually affecting how you are and how you live your life. So don't let these fears of failure or judgment or insecurities or anything that this blog post has helped you reflect on, don't let that stop you from pursuing what you want to pursue and pursuing a new job or a new hobby, a new everything. Don't let fear stop you from letting you live your life. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.